I need to know everything, who and the what and the where, I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George, I hop in the Porsche, 5 and a horse, I'm ready for war, I'm coming for throats, to turn to a ghost, I need to know everything. Now you be surprised at the info you get is by letting them talk, so I'm letting them talk. Gotta keep quiet, maneuver in silence to let them in, talk up their body, another one body that's...
Hello and welcome to JK+1. I am not your host, PTF. He's at the little house on the east side doing who knows what. He's trying to plan some party he's having. He hasn't even invited me to it yet. I just heard about it from someone else. But we'll see what happens. But I am Jonathan Kinchin, and I want to thank everyone for joining us again on JK+1. I want to thank our friends at Qatar Racing. Can't wait to see Caravelle run in the Troy. Can't wait to see what Qatar Racing does at the Fasig-Tipton sale as well. The guest we have today, a little bit of a hint with the shirt, actually partnered with Qatar Racing last year. We'll see if they can do some more partnering and noise making and continue to bring us these championship type horses with the maroon and gold. So we're going to jump right into it. One of my dear friends in the world and one of my favorite people in racing, Bob Edwards, joins us today. E5 Racing, Rushing Fall, Good Magic, New Money Honey. And he's also been known to show up to $1 million sale without any shoes on. But that's what makes Bob so awesome. We catch up with Bob and talk a little bit about his introduction to the game, a ton of success early, and now he's knee deep. Right when we got done recording, I saw his list of like 90 horses. He's got a lot of horses, so he's involved and he's awesome. And we're gonna sit down and chat a little bit with a little bit of video. It's been a while. I've been promising you video. I think I got everything set up. We'll see. This is our first trial run, not doing it at a professional studio. We use the professional studio for Angel Cordero, but now it's just me. And let's see if I can pull it off. And hopefully DJ Unstable can help us make the magic happen. So without any further ado, my man, Bob Edwards. Bob, what's going on?
Not much, buddy. Good to see you.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna see if this works. The last time I did a video podcast with Angel Cordero, we went to the city and went to this professional studio. We're in Saratoga at the quote clubhouse, and I just set this up on my own. So we'll see if it works.
I'm gonna tell you, this setup is phenomenal. This is pretty much the same setup with the ring lights and the cameras that my wife and I used to take feet pictures to sell on the internet to subsidize our income. So this is killer.
You always start off with such a good joke in cart talk. I remember I asked, I said, how did you meet Chad Brown? And you said Tinder.
Tinder, yeah.
How did you really meet Chad?
Introduced to him through Mike Ryan. And actually, met him even before I had horses with him, and just we hit it off and, started having fun together before racing.
Now, it's, your story in racing is interesting because, it's funny. One of your biggest horses, the first one was New Money Honey, which is actually hilarious because, you were new to racing. Like you weren't, your last name wasn't Phipps. Your great grandfather didn't run a Derby horse. You really were new to the game. How did it all start? Where did this first horse come from?
So my wife is from Saratoga. She's from Saratoga, was a Pinkerton. The joke. I have the picture of her with NWA in a sweatshirt and hoodie, and we're around town. Her family lives here, a big family, live up here, and we pop in once a year for a family reunion. And one year we came in, and Steve Weston lives on Fifth Ave, was a business partner of mine, and he said, "Bring Cassidy over, my daughter, who's married to Tyler Gaffalione, so we're all invested in horse racing." Went to his place and took us back. I'd never been back there. I was just sitting on a picking table, drinking beer, picking numbers or names, and had no idea what I was doing. So we went to the backside and had the opportunity to walk around and love on the horses and see how well they were taken care of, and see this the time and the care and the maintenance and how everybody looks after the animals, and sucker punched us and rolled us right into the New York bred auction. Right, and it was like look day. And from there, Steve introduced me to Niall Brennan, Ian, Mike Ryan, and typical fashion, I probably had on a dirty baseball hat, a hoodie, and cargo shorts, and it was with Cassidy and Mike. Spent all afternoon, walk us around, showing us confirmation, spending time with us. And my daughter loves horses; she's riding horses all the time, and she's like, come on, Dad, let's get a horse, And it's all right, Mike. I got to dip out for a wedding. Yeah, let's find me a horse. So like in the middle of ceremony, like the rehearsal, I'd dip out and get on the phone mic and kind of go through the bidding process. And that was our first horse. New York bred out of Looking at Lucky.
Which horse was that?
Lucky Bug. Not so lucky. Not so lucky.
Well, so Lucky Bug might not have been lucky, but I mean, I think as an introduction to the game, you had a pretty incredible run with in 2017, or was it 16 New Money Honey? 16 was New Money Honey, right?
Mm-hmm.
New Money Honey. Where
before her? So when she, we bought her as a yearling, and kind of went back home, did the math, started looking at pedigrees, started paying way more attention to horse race than my day job, and went back to Mike, went to Keeneland, and bought that first crop of horses, New Money Honey being one of them. But then I went to November and bought some mares, and I purchased Zendaya, which was a dispersal, and Ian Brendan had raised the horse and broke the horse at Vinery. And we checked in with Ian. He said, no, this horse is legit. Was legit, was here. We vetted. I called Chad. This is before I had any way. I said, hey, look, any way you can train this horse? He said, sure. That was my first win. It was at a Zendaya, the Intercontinental. So my first win was a stakes win.
It's unbelievable. And then she's still in your broodmare band, right?
She is. And Carl Spackler, who's going to run here in the Hall of Fame, is out of her. So she was in Ireland for the first 2 drops. I sold her. First 3 drops. I sold a couple to Sheikh Mohammed, and then brought her back home here and put her in full to Uncle Mo. So,
I mean, I know you have a lot of queens in your life, but she's got to be one of them.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's been a struggle as a mare. Her first pregnancy was terrible. It was a C-section. The foal didn't make it. Claymore took care of me, and we went back, and the next seat we gave her a year off, stitched up. We had a really nice Into Mischief, which I'm going to keep. That's a yearling now out of her, all legs. And then the second was the Warfront. And then this year we couldn't get her pregnant after the Warfront. So I'd give her another season off, and, she seems to pay dividends if we give her that time.
And, obviously it started off as a racing thing, but it feels like the more you've gotten involved, it feels like it's more of it's going to be a lifetime operation of breeding and selling and buying and racing and the whole nine.
Yeah, we're, like I said, we're fully invested. We married our daughter off to a jockey. We're breeding, we're buying, we're selling, we're kind of, all over the place. And it's just as much fun breeding as it is winning, right? You have a real nice baby come out, and you get to the point where you get to the auction and you do well with that. It's equally as exciting, to go through the process.
And like, I think the cool thing about your operation too is like, it was kind of homegrown, but it's kind of gone in so many different directions, right? Like, you've got the great broodmare band that you've built, some from buying, but some organically from racing. Then you've got the stallion shares from a stallion that you raced, who's the hottest stallion in the country right now. And then you've also have the big scores with like Rushing Fall, with some of the money to kind of run back into it. New Money Honey. What did you sell her? Did you keep her?
And we have her. New Money Honey.
Yeah.
She's in the band.
What's her next? Who's she have coming?
That's who's in that. Slipped. She was going to go to Good Magic right before we won the Derby. I was all in. That was my dream. My two Breeders' Cup horses. First kind of big wins. But she had a rough pregnancy again. Nothing bad. The baby came out great, but she just couldn't get pregnant. So we went back and just gave her another year.
Where did tell me the origin story with New Money Honey, your first Breeders' Cup win?
I had no idea what it was. I'm not gonna lie to you. Breeders' Cup thing. It was a big race. We were like, this is cool. It's in California. That's cool. I'm gonna go out a couple days early with my daughter Cassidy. Chris is gonna come with Riley and Delaney, and you're walking on the backside. And my buddy Joe Anzalone, he had a horse running with Rudy in that early Breeders' Cups. And when New Money Honey was running, and with Rudy walking around, and he's like, you want to go on the grass? I'm like, can we? He's like, yeah, sure. And we walked on the turf course, and it was like, wow, looking at just the size of the mountains, looking at the stands. It was incredible, right? I still had no idea how big of a race it was. So, we get there, she runs, she outruns her pedigree. She looks phenomenal. Javier does a perfect ride on her. We win. Still have no idea what's going on. All right, cool. We go down the winner's circle, and Bobby Flay hands us the trophy, and we're all excited. We're smiles, having a great time. And they go, they want to take a picture of you. So I'm looking for a photographer, and they go, no, behind you. And then I turn around, and all the photographers are on the track. And that was the moment that hit me, like, wow. And I'm still getting goosebumps now. It was an incredible moment. It was really incredible.
And I got to think that that having that success early, you're like, oh, okay. Once you found out how important it was, you're probably like, okay, I think we got a little lucky here. This probably isn't going to happen again. And then a year later, you win 2.
Well, actually, the Sunday we won the Gold Cova with Zendaya. So we're back to back. We're like, this is great.
It's unbelievable. And then the next year, 2 Breeders' Cups with, look, I know that there's a lot of special ones in your racing history, but I got to think that these 2 that weekend had to be the most special weekend you've had in racing.
It was, unbelievable weekend, right? Rushing Fall. So it's at Del Mar. Rushing Fall wins, and like Del Mar's tight and high. So we got a great perch, but we got a crew, and it's taken us like 10, 15 minutes to get down. People are congratulating. You know how it goes, right? Walk by, like I see Peter Brand. He goes, "Bob, how many Breeders' Cups you been in?" I go, 3. He goes, "How many won?" I go, 3. Kind of going all the way down. And we get down, and Chad's like, "What are you doing?" Javier's been walking circles for like 20 minutes. I'm like, "Dude, sorry, I'm trying to get down." So, everything's good. Get great pictures, great fun, good magic. We're in the paddock, and Chad looks and he goes, "Don't leave the paddock. I'm not waiting for you when we win this race." So we stayed there, and Bob's in there. Obviously, the cameras are on Bob, and good magic starts coming. We're start getting louder, and the cameras kind of start panning over to us, and our crew's going crazy at that point. Once he breaks free, another unbelievable moment for us.
Were you pretty confident going in? I mean, I would imagine you were pretty confident with Rushing Fall. Were you as equally confident the next day with Good Magic?
When Chad is super confident, I'm really confident. When especially when he said don't leave the paddock. The horse was training well. He was just unlucky, and obviously he showed his class that day.
Yeah, I mean, it's outstanding just to think about the fact that like this horse was a maiden, and ran in a race that big. But it also turns to one of those situations where born in another year, he could be running for a Triple Crown, right? I mean, runs in a Justify in the Derby, runs in a Justify again in the Preakness. I mean, he was a pretty special horse, and he's showing that now as a sire.
Great mind. He was a horse. Even Derby week, like you could just go in and saw him lay down with him like a dog, and he'd kind of snuggle you. Just an unbelievable horse. Where Rushing Fall was pretty intense. Different kind of mindset. She was all game day. It's different.
What did you with buying the Good Magic? How did that work? You were at the sale and you partnered with Stone Street because they said they were going to stay in. How did that whole process go?
So at the time I had my babies were at Stone Street, and we had a good relationship with Stone Street, still do. They had a horse, and Mike liked the horse. Mike Ryan, my bloodstock agent, and he said, "The Stone Street horse." They said they'd stay in. They'd be happy to stay in with us, and it was great. And we've done it a few times. We have another horse still on the track now. Actually, it's his brother with Jordan Wire down in. He's down in Florida. I'm sure. I think it's. I don't know if it's. I don't think he's at Gulfstream. He's probably up at Palmettos.
Yeah.
Sorry. I haven't been there in a year. So
you've been all over the coast of Florida, not so much on land.
Mm-hmm.
You're not much of a land guy.
No. I try to stay off land. Yeah.
So now you got Good Magic, and obviously he was worth so much as a stallion prospect. We didn't get to see him continue to race a lot, but we did get to see Rushing Fall continue to race. And one of those horses, one of my favorites to win grade ones in all those consecutive years. Was it 2, 3, 4, and 5? She won a grade one.
Yeah, one of 3 horses, right?
Yeah, Beholder and
Lady Eli, right?
Yeah, Lady Eli. Wow, it's pretty impressive. Good resume for good for Chad's resume there to have a couple of those. Rushing Fall, was it ever a question, were you going to keep her, or did you kind of know mathematically you had to sell her?
For me, mathematically, I had to sell her. I don't have, if I had 10 stallions and I had a stallion farm, maybe think about keeping her. But I think, she went to a great place going to Coolmore. They know how to make stallions, and they know how to make stallions that are really good mares. So I think it was a good fit.
When were you excited? Did you treat that kind of like a race day when she sold at Fasig? Were you there?
It was a really great event. Obviously, Fasig had a great event, and Sarah Ryan and Indian Creek did Sarah Sutherland and Indian Creek, Mike Ryan's daughter Sarah, did a phenomenal job with a hospitality tent, and set this stage perfectly. There were fireworks. Bradley and Elite had a whole bunch of horses. They had Rushing Fall and some other good horses. So it was just a really good sale for everybody.
Was it sad to see her go? Did you have that emotion of sadness?
Oh,
or
yeah, yeah. And you wanted to see where she was going. Like you're not really sure, at the end where it was going. So, once I knew what the home was going to be in and how they were going to take care of her, that's where I would want to go if I was in there. Right?
Yeah, I'd like Coolmore for sure. Do you have you seen her since?
I haven't. No, I
over there?
haven't been to Ireland yet. I've been since pre-COVID.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that'd be a fun trip. Maybe with that Tattersalls, hop over there and check her out. What's going on with her babies?
I believe there's 2 Debowies. So there's a 2-year-old now. Whether it's going to be a 2-year-old runner or not, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. So with Rushing Fall and Good Magic, you'll obviously get to see her babies run. But one thing that I laughed the other day during the Curlin. There was 3 Good Magics in the Curlin, which I thought was poetic as well. What was the Derby like for you with Mage, your son of Good Magic?
It was unbelievable. I loved the horse to begin with. Loved him in Florida. I thought he ran well in the Florida Derby. I thought he went well enough to be competitive. And once again, Javier, rode an unbelievable ride. And made it look easy. To win his first Derby and win his first Derby on one of Good Magic's sons, a first crop Derby winner. Unbelievable. And then going into the Preakness and coming 2 and 3. That's really something special for a first crop.
Absolutely. And it seems like, especially with the success that Curlin's had, it feels like it's going to continue just all you need is one big winner and then it just rolls, right? And he's got a couple of big ones and you got to feel like, he's going to be pretty busy. I'm sure people are calling you, asking you if to buy a couple of seasons from you.
It'll heat up in November, or when somebody's not paying attention. But I'm gonna breed the mares I have. We go in and out depending on who, what, when, where. But I'm looking forward to breeding New Money Honey to them. I have a pivotal mare that has a really nice filly as a yearling out of him here that I'll go back to him again. I have no problem going 2 or 3 times back to back. They're back to back to back. The same sire.
How many mares do you have now?
Way too many. It's probably, right, coming off the track, I'm a meeting at 1:00 today with Kristen to kind of cull the herd a little bit. The sweet spot's probably somewhere around 15. I'm probably in the mid-20s right now. And
you want to kind of stay there consistently, or could you see that growing, or do you think that is the sweet spot?
For me, that I kind of have horses come up the track that I may like the pedigree better, or they may be a better candidate for what I'm breeding to. And then some of the ones that haven't produced or have produced, take them while they're high or get rid of them while they're not.
Obviously you have a great relationship with Tyler Gaffalione for obvious reasons, but one of the things like hanging out with you that I've always noticed is you have a great relationship with all the riders. And I would imagine Javier is pretty high on that list for New Money Honey, and then Rushing Fall, and then also kind of indirectly Mage as well. I'm sure.
I got a great Javier story to tell you the caliber person Javier is. So Javier wins the Derby. I'm elated for him. I text him, congratulations, super happy for you and your family, and let it that. Wins the Belmont, and I'm like, I think they need to induct you in the Hall of Fame again. Second, whole big long text. He calls me the day after the Belmont, like at 9:00 in the morning on a Sunday, and I answer the phone and go, "Bobby, what's going on? Pagadami?" He goes, "No, Bob, I just read your text, and I wanted to apologize that I didn't respond to you after the Derby." I said, "You didn't have to respond to me. You won." I was so excited for you. I talked to him for 15 minutes. That's the kind of caliber guy he is, and all these guys are great. Look, this is the hardest job, in America. It's the only job, and all your fans know it's the only job where the ambulance follows them around. These guys, they fall all the time. Jose fell this week. Thank God he's okay. You hate to see that happen. Right. But these guys, they put it all out there every day, every 30 minutes, bang. So yeah, I have a lot of respect for all these guys.
Bob, I didn't know until I knew what E5 was. I thought at first, when I saw that we did that feature on Fox where you kind of explained that it is about, the name comes from your family. But the one thing about you is that your family's always around. And when it comes to racing, I mean, a lot of times these guys that you see in racing, you just see them all the time. You don't see the rest of their crew. Is this game just that much better having your family around with you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I'm actually, my son Riley and daughter Delaney are flying up tomorrow, and they're looking to start wild in here in Saratoga and having fun.
Austin's really bummed out that he's coming as he's leaving. I have a feeling that there's going to be some intense foosball for at least a couple of hours before Austin hits it. Riley is hilarious to me, by the way, because he's a comedian. He helps in the business, but then he also is almost a semi-professional foosball player. It's wild.
Yeah, that's why he's not here now, right? So him and Delaney would be here if it wasn't for Riley at a foosball tournament last weekend, and Delaney want to fly alone, or they've been up early.
You taught him everything he knows?
I taught him up to a point, and now he's far better than I'll ever be. He's just a better version of me in all ways, and foosball is no exception.
The silks. I mean, obviously I have this shirt. They're my favorite silks, not just because we're friends. They really are my favorite silks. Who designed the silks?
So, knew nothing about racing. When Ryan Daly does Daly Silks, I said, hey, I'm looking to get some silks done. Initially, we did the E with the number 5 in it, and the jockey club said no because they had a number in it. So we kind of just went back to the E, and she said, "What color do you want?" I don't know. I said, my pharma company had a green one, the logo, red one, and we're doing an orange one. I was at that time I was looking to open a distillery. When Riley was just kind of heading to college. So when he got out of college, we could do the distillery thing, and he wasn't into it. So I went back into pharma. So she goes, "Well, how about purple?" I go, "That works." She goes, "What about an accent color?" I go, "What do you think?" She goes, "Lime green work?" I go, "Sure." And that's how it worked. I mean, there really wasn't a ton of thought in it, and it just went from there.
Well, it works. I mean, I've always thought of silks as like, you want them to look different than everyone else's. When the horse wins, they know, okay, that's E5, or oh, that's so and so. It's very clear, it's very distinct. But then also, like, I like that you can see them on the backside, like when you can actually identify it, pops out. And these definitely
during the Preakness. Remember that when Good Magic was Preakness, how bad it was?
Yeah,
all you could see was the head, like Javier's head or Jose's head with the green coming around. That was it was like a dot coming around because it was so dark we couldn't see anything. It was raining, foggy. Yeah,
no, that was what. Were you there?
Oh yeah.
You don't miss the big ones.
It's hard to miss a big one when your horse is running,
unless you're fishing.
Unless I'm fishing, yeah, tournament fishing.
We know what we didn't talk about this. I don't know what happened. I know you left last week. I know you sent me a video of one that you caught. What? Tell me what happened in the fishing tournament in AC.
It was terrible. 130 boats. There were 13 blue marlin caught out of 130 boats. Maybe 50 fished in total. So I caught one blue marlin, 300-pound class blue marlin on light tackle, 30-pound test. So, you had to work it for a while. And my buddy John Hess caught a 52.5-pound yellowfin tuna, and we lost the daily Calcutta for like 45 grand by 2 pounds. Oh man! So, and then there was, I was in Atlantic City for 7 days. So 2 nights at Nobu, and just kind of fishing. I
heard one Nobu night went pretty late.
One Nobu night went pretty late, and actually we were on our way to the award ceremony, and we're going into Caesar's Palace, or not Caesar's Palace, the Hard Rock. And as we're walking in, Hard Rock Live is there, and a band called Government Mule was playing, and they're playing Dark Side of the Mule, so they're playing all Pink Floyd songs. So I'm like, I look at my guys in the crew, I'm like, hey, we're going to pivot. Let's go grab some tickets. We're going to go in to see these guys play instead of going to the awards dinner. And we kind of went in there and hung out and did that.
Live music. You enjoy a live music. Your boat is named after
Grateful Dead, Shakedown Street.
Yeah, Shakedown Street. And you're a Fish fan as well.
Fish fan. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I'm hearing that I'm going to probably have to go to my first Fish concert.
I think you should. Yeah. I don't think you'd regret it.
No, I'm going to check it out. I mean, look, my wife and her family, they love it, and you love it. I love all of you guys, so I guess it makes sense. I'll probably enjoy it a little bit.
I was trying to negotiate for Ronnie Senior's freedom on Tuesday to go fishing with me, and Ronnie said, "No, I need him Tuesday. I'm going to the city to see Fish." So now I'm thinking it's a week later, Fish. So now my schedule's all screwed up for the rest of the week.
Because are they playing now?
They're playing the Garden, yeah, next week.
But are they playing here?
So the rumor has it, and not yet confirmed, that they're doing a benefit for Vermont for the for the rain victims, so it's flooding victims at SPAC on Travers weekend.
That's what I heard.
So that'd be super fun. I hope that, guys, if you're watching, hey, we need the help.
That'll be a long weekend for sure. Bob, one of the coolest things anyone's ever done for me is when my father passed, you offered to name a horse Kinchin, and it was an unbelievable honor, and it was super cool. And she ran so well here first time out, and she ran well when we were down in the city as well at Belmont. And now she's going to be a mom. And that was a really nice thing that you and Chris did for me and my family.
It was, she ran so well early on. I think, graded place, like immediately early on in her career, and just kind of never came back 100% from that. But, she is in full to Speightstown. So I went speed over speed, try to get that, that speed over speed in her, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, that's the thing about those Lope de Vegas though. Like they have those 2-year-old runs, and then they sometimes, newspaper record, she was kind of a little bit of an outlier. But even the one that won for Brad Cox, I'm gonna go blank on her name, the one that won the Breeders' Cup. I'm not gonna remember, but even she kind of didn't go on as a 3-year-old. Do you have a handful of Lope de Vegas?
Spackler is out of Zendaya to Lope de Vega, and he's a colt. And he's got a really good mind. So he's got mama's mind. Yeah,
and he's having a good 3-year-old year, right? And so, where is Carl? When's he going to run?
He's in the main barn there at CB's barn. Yeah,
I saw him. I think one day I was there. He tried to like get under the webbing.
He got loose. Yeah, he dropped the exercise rider and ripped out through past my backyard, hit the deck. Miguel Clement grabbed him, handed him back to Baldo, and typically when that happens, the horse is done and a little stiff the next day. And obviously Chad gave him some time off, let him heal. And I think he put a bullet out, minute, in 5 just on the weekend here on the turf. So he's going to run the Hall of Fame. That's
beautiful. Do you love? I like seeing you. You're always out there when your horses are breezing. It's a fun part of the game, especially up here.
Well, I just leave here at like 3:45 and sleep up in the stand there and wait for the first person to clock or to kick me, and then I just act like I just got there.
It is early mornings, but it's fun. It's fun to get over there and hang out. Bob, this is like another thing that as many times we've hung out and talked, we haven't really ever talked about the pharma business and the you've had a few different companies. Right now, the one you have now, you're currently focused on pets, right?
Well, we do both animal and human.
Yeah.
So we have E5 Pharma, which is the animal division, and Miser Bioscience, which is E5 is the human division, Miser Bioscience is the animal division.
What kind of animal stuff do you guys do?
Mostly small animal, only because the number of small animals is way bigger than the number of horses. But we do have some equine products in the pipeline.
Right, Prolumo, obviously.
No, Prolumo was just that. So Prolumo was a paste that we made. One of my PhD chemists made a paste for us because we had a bleeder.
Yeah.
And it worked really well. So then we started, selling it, commercialized it, and started selling it. So, there's, a handful of trainers use it on a regular basis. So we always keep some in stock, but it's not a prescription. We do prescription drugs.
Right. What kind of is it? So like dogs, cats, stuff like that?
Yeah, dogs and cats. Yeah, the companion animals.
Yeah,
but it's much smaller than the human business, and the generic side of it is just starting to come on its own now. Right? There's not been a lot of generics in that space, so we're really early into that market.
That's fun.
But it's equally as miserable as racing horses, right? So when you develop a drug, it's not a guarantee it's going to pass, right? So you might have to develop it 2 or 3 times to get it right. You might have to go through a study to find out that, you need to tweak something or release, or it's variable, So it's I'm in 2 really depressing businesses. That's why I fish, right? So that makes me happy. That's anytime I'm on the war, it's great.
This morning on the podcast, we were covering a couple of races from Woodbine, and we were talking about the preps for the King's Plate or whatever, and Pete Fornatel asked me what did I think about the King's Plate or those horses, and I said I got to be honest with you, there's one horse I'm rooting for in the King's Plate, and it's Kalik, and I actually hinted at the story, and I'll hint at it again here. We can't tell the whole story, but I did tell the story about how we were at dinner with Chad last summer, and he said it was a different name. It wasn't Click then. It was a different name. But Chad said, he looked at you and said, "Wow, we're going to win the Queen's Plate next year with this horse."
After 20 mocktails. Yes, he did. He did call it out. Yes. And we tried to get a name that didn't come through. And it ended up being Click. And Chad called it out. And when he's confident, he's confident.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be fun. Are you gonna pop over?
I'm not sure. It's like
I think it's
a big weekend, isn't it?
I think it might be Travers weekend.
Yeah, it's
sometimes
tough.
they run on a Sunday, but yeah, I mean it's hard. It's hard. I mean, I love Toronto though, and Woodbine's fun. It's a cool place, but it seems like that might be a challenge.
I mean, watching it here probably would be a close second with the guys. So
yeah, for sure. And we're obviously at the clubhouse, and a top secret operation here, but it's always fun to hang out. And you and Saul and the other guys have done a phenomenal job making this place so much fun as a place for us to kind of go and hang out, because I can't. It's too wild downtown for me anymore.
Yeah, well, this is kind of taking the edge off of downtown, right? Coming here, good people. Obviously, Jim and Sal and myself, we love racing. Love having people here, on the big weekends and, even the quiet weekends, just with the friends and family is special.
Bob, you've got a lot of trainers and a lot of owners, the Rapolis of the world stick to, he's got a few as well, but you've really seemed to try to give, from my conversations with you, at least it sounds like you want to give other people opportunities as well. Obviously you've had a ton of success with Chad and Chad's going to get a lot of the big ones. But you do spread them around.
Yeah. I mean, I always like to take care of Rudy. Rudy is like the camp counselor here in Saratoga, and you want to be part of the fun, right? So, I always try to make sure I get a horse for Rudy. And this year, Dave Fox, who's another trainer, local guy in Florida. I love to support Dave. He's won a lot of stakes for me. He had Tyler on a lot of horses early before my daughter was even dating Tyler, and we did really well with him. And he was up at the auction this year, and I said, well, get yourself a horse. And he got one. It was a Florida bred, wasn't a big market for Florida breds, but he got, which we believe was a nice one, which is already in the shop, getting the chip taken out of the knee. And he picked one for Rudy, which looks like a rocket chip out of Redesdale, New York bred. So, got for Rudy. I have a horse with horse to Steve Asmussen, early turf horses that we hope are Ascot prospects, go to Wesley. So we kind of pick and choose, areas, right? So, I'm always going to support Florida. I'm down there most of the year. We try to get some horses in Kentucky, so we can run in Kentucky when they're running elsewhere, and obviously take care of the big horses for Chad and make everybody happy, or try to.
The name you had a name issue for the David Fox horse. Is that the one that's in the shop?
Yeah, that's the one that's in the shop. Yeah. We tried to get Falked passed through with an entry, like, sending it through at like Thursday at 4 p.m. with the $300 fee to get it for Friday for entries. And they weren't too keen on that move, but it was innocent enough, just,
hey,
and the horse got Falked.
Bob, a funny thing that, and our friend Dan Pickett actually pointed this out to me. I wasn't fully aware, but he talked to me about some of your boating adventures you guys have had together down in the Bahamas and elsewhere. And he loves to tell the story about how you're just like Jason Bourne out there. Did you learn a lot of your outdoorsmanship things from, was that a military thing? Or was that just being out on the boat all the time?
That's just being on the beach or being in Florida, being in a boat. I've been, so Cassidy's 29. We've been down in Florida 29 years. So, I've been, every chance I got to be in the water, on the water, I took. So, just being in Florida, I used to do cave diving, deep diving back before they even had dive shops where they're mixing gas. We were mixing our own tri-mixes back thousands of feet in caves, doing 250-foot bounce dives at wrecks, and spearfishing and all sorts of fun like that. And until baby number 2 came and Chris pulled the plug on that stuff. And then I had to go a little shallower. And then once Riley got old enough, I started taking him with me. And, he's a waterman as well. Not as much fun on the boat. He doesn't like spend as much time on the boat, but he does like the water.
That's funny. Dan told the story. He said, well, we were down there and Bob goes, you hungry? And he jumped in the water and he came back with like 3 lobsters.
Now, in all fairness, it probably wasn't that deep, and the water's gin clear in the Bahamas, and you could see the lobster, and they don't have claws, right? They have these antennas, so you can snatch them up.
How much time do you think you spent in the Bahamas? The IRS isn't listening. How much do you think you spent in the Bahamas?
I got to get 60 days this year, probably, maybe a couple more. I mean, it's not fair, right? So it's easier for me to get to the Bahamas than it is Miami. And Miami's 45 miles from me, but the traffic, it's an hour and a half on a traffic day where, I could be in the first island of the Bahamas, 48 miles out the inlet.
You just hop on the boat
and go over.
And you got the good internet, so you can watch the races.
Got the Elon Musk high-speed internet, which is a game changer for us. So we can watch races. We can, not miss anything, have fun. Chris loves being on the boat, which is great. Makes it better for me. Delaney likes taking the boat. Tyler and Cassidy, they were the first 2 people on the boat after I bought it. So, the family uses it, which is great. And I got a good crew as well.
When, what's next for E5 Racing? What are some things that you haven't accomplished that you really want to accomplish? Some goals that you guys have?
Love to get back to the Breeders' Cup. As we said, that's the world championship of racing. It's unbelievable. I'd love to get to Ascot, love to win an Ascot race. It's just I haven't had the right horse, but hopefully one of these years we'll get an opportunity. Any of the big races, the big 3, the Travers. I was lucky enough to win a Haskell with Good Magic, but these big races are something that are etched in stone in history. To have another Eclipse winner would be phenomenal. To have Rushing Fall go in the Hall of Fame would be phenomenal. All these good things, and obviously, even if I bred a Triple Crown winner, that would be amazing. I spent a lot of time going through the pairings and the matings and trying to put speed over speed or stretch a horse out, or trying to play God, and try to get lucky.
You reminded me, I forgot last year how unlucky you were with Pink Hue. She's back working?
She's back working at Belmont. She just kind of freaky issue. Got her back down to Stone Street. Ian Brennan took really good care of her. She came back, and he said, Bob, this is one of the best horses, if not the best horse we have on the farm. Sent her back to Chad. He had her in Florida, went up to Saratoga, and on a gallop she bled, like never bled before. Was never an issue. Brought her back to Bruce, sent her down to Bruce, put her in chamber for a while, turned her out for a little bit, and she's back breezing in Belmont, and she'll be back up here. And if she looks like she did in Florida, she should be a beast.
Oh man, that was a tough one, because I think looking back at that race, she would have been tough. They would have heard from her at least when they turned for home. Ask it. I had to see you in a top hat, huh?
I wear a hat most times because I don't have your hair, but I'd love to go. I think preferably on a cooler weekend, but I'd love to go there. Everybody that I spoke to that's went there has had a blast.
Yeah, I heard a couple of my friends, Jake and Reagan, they had that Crimson Advocate that won, and Jake can be kind of particular about his racing experiences, and obviously racing can be a little annoying from time to time, depending where you are with the hospitality and stuff, and just it can happen from time to time. But Jake was just like, he said it was the greatest thing he'd ever done, and Bobby Flay even said, I don't know if he told you, he told us that it was outstanding as well. So I was going to go this year, but it was 2 weeks after Italy, so I couldn't mount up the troops to get back.
It took me a couple weeks just to repair from your wedding, dude. No lie.
Well, you kind of got the MVP. Well, because we were all going home and going to bed early. Everyone blames you for being a little bit of the ringleader for the late nights in the
I'm an
plaza.
ambassador of fun, and your friends and obviously the family is phenomenal. But every one of your friends that you brought to the wedding is somebody, and I've said this 1,000 times, that I would have no problem going to dinner with, because they're so cool and so much fun, easy to talk to. It was an unbelievable event.
No, it was good. It was a lot of fun. It was fun, and it was not too much racing though. I think there's only one race watched, which I was surprised about during the entire time. Maybe two. I know Pete Fornatel watched Looms Boldly run, who's named after him, and I think maybe Chad watched a race.
Chad watched it, and when we were at Positano, he watched the race with the kitchen staff.
Yes, that's a funny story. So didn't he FaceTime, or someone FaceTime Frankie Dettori?
Jody got Frankie on the phone and brought him back to the kitchen when Chad, and it was the guys were loving it back there.
The Italian guys, they were loving Frankie Dettori. That's hilarious. That's funny. Bob, this year, one of my favorite things last year that happened, and I just hope you do it again this year, was that I was in like the champagne room at Phasing, and you came over barefoot.
Well, I don't have to do it this year because you got me this killer Jordan Gatorades, man. So I think I can pull those off.
Oh my God. I tell people the story all the time when I'm like, you got to meet my friend Bob. He's the coolest guy in the world. He went into this room where horses are selling for $1 million, and he was barefoot. That's my man.
Well, I didn't have shoes. I was here, and I don't typically wear shoes. Like, I'm a Florida guy. I don't wear them to work most days. Just I don't wear them on the boat unless teeth are flying and I have to. And I just kind of ran over there for a second, didn't think twice, and went upstairs, and Barbara looked down and goes, "Nice shoes, sweetie." And then nobody said anything after that. It was kind of get the pass.
Well, look, I mean, I think that Phasing will probably give you a pass. You sell a horse like Rushing Fall for $5.5 million. You buy a couple here and there. You sell a couple here and there. I think you can probably get away with not wearing shoes. A lot of these other people probably wouldn't do it, but I'm glad it helps me out quite a bit because, I'm usually underdressed as well.
Well, maybe I'm starting a trend. Maybe somebody else will do it this year.
I'll do it. I'll go over there. I'll go over there for sure. Bob, of all the racing events throughout the year, which one, is it Saratoga that kind of gets you the most excited? Are you a Florida Derby guy?
The big races at Florida, like if we're running Florida, I'll go, most times if I'm in town, I'll go and support the horse, the trainer, we'll go down, Chris and I'll go down. We're good friends with Billy Badgett and his wife, Stacy. So we love going to see them. And then, Saratoga, I'm here the whole time. If I get a chance to go to Keeneland, I love going to Keeneland. Obviously Derby week is great, but Saratoga is a place where I spend the most time consecutively. I'll go to the most races. This is the place where you see the best racing, the best people. We're really, we're blessed to be in a really good spot in the stands where great owners are around us, and it's people to learn from, and people to cheer for. It's people to support and watch, their operations, their horses run, and they have the same joy we do. So it's great to see.
As a successful businessman who loves the game, I always like to ask on this podcast, because I'm not one of those doom and gloom people, but I do think that there is things we can do better in our game. What are some of the things that really stick out to you if you were kind of handed the keys, if you were, the CEO of racing? What are some of the things that maybe you feel like we could improve upon to help the game grow?
One of the most frustrating things as a fan is finding what channel to watch it on, right? So as a fan, we're racing multiple jurisdictions, and you go to a channel, it's not there. You go to another channel, it's not there. You go to the app, it's not there, and you got to find it. And luckily there's RTN, and we can pick a race, and know we're going to be there, but we might miss some of the commentary or some of the, some of the back and forth from other racers. If you're stacked up, you have two races at two different tracks, and one's on, one channel and it's not on the other, and you got to kind of do a hot swap. That's frustrating. And it's frustrating for a new fan to really get into a sport. This is a great sport. Everybody in it pours their heart and soul in it, right? I see people out 3 a.m., lights are on. Typically I'm coming home when they're going to work. No, I'm just kidding. But you see the backstretch folks, they're working hard. The trainers they're all in. I mean, you have, Lucas is out on the horse in the morning. They live and breathe this job, the racing. They live and breathe the animal. And I don't think that's portrayed properly in the media. Obviously, with what happened in Churchill, media latches onto it, and they don't see all the good things that happen when, these owners are rehoming horses. When they're past their prime or they're not runners, we're giving horses away to people to retrain them, to give them new homes so they can have fun and continue to be horses, right? But bringing in new fans through television would be phenomenal. Bringing in younger fans. There's not a lot of younger fans, here we get them in Saratoga. They'll get them in Del Mar, Monmouth in the summertime. But to bring them in, for other than big weekends, maybe we figure out a way to bring them in. I don't have time to figure that out. And I know there's people way smarter than I am in that, in that arena, but I think that would help out racing. I think, my racehorse is doing a good job of bringing in people. They have a big fan base, which is nice. And there's other people getting involved in that.
Yeah. And I think that I think people like to kind of poke fun at least I've seen people kind of poke fun at, my racehorse of, you put in this much money and you really don't. But I think what people are missing that whole thing is when you're buying into a share of my racehorse, it's not a business decision you're making. It's an entertainment decision you're making. And I think that if you look at it as an entertainment decision, to get people involved, to bring them through the experience, it's nothing but positive, right? And it's just like, who cares? I think actually we're looking at this picture of Authentic, and I think Authentic was one of the ones that was involved in my racehorse at the beginning. And people were like, oh, well, if you bought in a share, you only got this much out of it and you won the Derby. But it's it's not. They get people to stop looking at it like that. But it's also racing in general. It's a very racing thing to do, to make fun of something that's fun and successful.
I think that's anywhere in life. If somebody's successful, they're a target. What's the difference between buying a LeBron jersey and buying $100 share in Authentic? The LeBron jersey is $250,
right?
But you're supporting him, right? So, and you're going to watch him, you're a fan. We need more fans. How do we bring fans in? If that's the model, do it.
Absolutely. And look, I see people running around all the time that are super excited that, oh, my horse is running today. My horse is running today. And it's that's not a bad thing, right? For racing. And yeah, I mean, I think that the one thing I would say that, my answer to that question is that I think racing makes a mistake of taking itself too seriously as a good old boys club. Oh, that's not how we do things. Or, oh, we don't do it like that. And, or, oh no, that's not the right way to do it. And I just find that to be one of the things that drew me to you before we became friends. Was I think I saw you had Vans on the winner circle, and I was like, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, I didn't know better, to be candid with you. that was when Zendaya won the Intercontinental. I didn't know better, and I just continued to run with it for a while.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's okay. I don't think it's a problem, right? I mean, it doesn't. It's a silly thing that it should matter. I get it at Keeneland. You know, you got to dress up in the whatever.
I did drink a beer out of this trophy out of the Jenny Wiley after Jenny Wiley.
Yeah, you did.
Back in the Keeneland room, I did.
Was
the whole crew? No, the whole crew did it with me.
Was there any green coats looking at you?
They kind of, Coolmore kind of made it happen, and it happened, and it was great.
Yeah, well, you gotta do that.
I remember the first time I won a race at Keeneland, we go back in there, and the room was amazing, right? It's it's beautiful, the trophies, the history, just it's set up right. You get good glass of bourbon, and Bill goes, Bob, what do you think about this? He's talking to me. I go, look around. I go, I was born in Jersey. You're lucky this is all locked.
It is a great place. And how many times did she won? A couple of races there, didn't she? Win
Jenny Wiley twice.
And then did she win?
The app.
Yeah. Right, as a 3-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Good Magic on the Bluegrass. I got five or six cups at the house.
Really, it's a good place. It's a good place to win. We went out one time there. I don't remember what you were there for. We went to that bourbon place on downtown. That was a rough morning the next morning. And then we went to Jeff Ruby's, and then we went.
It's a rough morning after Jeff Ruby's too.
Oh yeah, that's a tough place. It's a tough place to operate. Tough place to operate. Bob, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you probably got some fish to catch or cook. Or
I'm off duty now. I'll get on a Zoom call here at 3 and go, green screen it, make it look like I'm in an office.
Well, we'll be rooting for the green and purple. Whether it's at this meet, definitely we'll be rooting for Kalik, because if we can get Kalik to win, we can maybe try to convince Chad to release that video. We got it on video.
It was on video. It was a great night. Another great night, Slavo. I don't know how many we've had, but there's been a lot of them.
There has been. Bob, I love you, buddy.
You too, bro.
Good to see you. Bob, that was great. I love hanging out with Bob. We went downstairs and went bowling right after. I'm just kidding. We didn't. Bob had a lot going on. I got a lot going on. It's dark days in Saratoga. They're off days, but they're not really off days, because you got to catch up on all your chores and rejuvenate the body, because the other nights of the week can be a little bit tough on you. I want to thank our friends at Qatar Racing. Once again, can't wait to see Caravel in the Troy. Can't wait to see Caravel back in California in November, defending her crown, and nice, firm, fast turf course. I think she's going to love that. Looking forward to her the rest of the season. Looking forward to seeing what else Qatar Racing has to offer for us here in the U.S. We know their presence overseas, but their presence here is growing, and we appreciate their support as well. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel if you don't already do so. Subscribe, like, comment. This is an audio-only version as well that you can hear, where you normally get your podcast from us in the Money Media. Retweet, tweet. Make sure that you show us some love. It's how we get these out to more people, so more people can see them and enjoy them. I want to thank PTF. I want to thank Drew. I want to thank the rest of the In the Money Media team, as well as the counterparts in the podcasting arena: Maggie, Acacia, Matty Ice, Spencer, Michelle, Billy. I always start to panic. Edison. See? I'm always thinking. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
I need to know everything. Who and the what and the where. I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George. I hop in the Porsche, 5 and a horse. I'm ready for war. I'm coming for throats to turn to a ghost. I need to know everything. Now you be surprised at the info you get is by letting them talk, so I'm letting them talk.